Edgar Mitchell goes into space, he comes back with other colleagues. They're debriefed at NASA. Very good source tells me they report paranormal experiences in space. Slightly uncomfortable for federal government, but they've heard this before. Not the first time guys have gone out and come back. I'm not talking about we saw saucers. I'm talking about somebody like Mitchell or one of his colleagues saying, out in space I could look down at Earth and see with my naked eye people walking around. I was told this in 1973 by a physicist of repute, and then NASA said to Mitchell, you know, we can't really go public with this, right? I mean, you can understand that, right? But what we might be able to do is get your little seed money so that you could do research on your own, leave NASA, and report back to us, keep us informed on what you find out, because we're interested. We're definitely interested. And again, it's not the first time stories like this have been told of people coming back. And all of a sudden, something called the Institute of Noetic Sciences pops up. Ding, ding, ding. Research into the paranormal. The best paranormal reviewer of research in the world, Dean Radin, is now the chief of scientists there at Noetic Sciences. He wrote a book called The Conscious Universe, in which he proved, not just speculated, from a comprehensive overall review, extensive review of all of the literature of laboratory paranormal experiments on all manner of tests, the balls dropping into slots, telepathic sending of photographs. These are all laboratory experiments, ruling out the badly formed experiments from the good experiments, a major undertaking. And his book, The Conscious Universe, comes to the correct conclusion that overwhelmingly the data show that there is a significant existence of the paranormal. That's what the research indicates. Greater than probability, greater than chance, greater than, all of that. 1993, 94, around the time I was running for Congress in Los Angeles, casually meet a woman from the Soviet Union who is one of their officially certified psychics. And we're having a nice conversation. I mean, they do have these people over there, or they did. And I said, so what do you do there? She said, I talk to the cosmonauts when they come back. Really? Oh, yes, absolutely. Then she finds out that I'm a reporter and she doesn't want to talk to me at all. I said, can you, give me something, anything? What are they saying, the cosmonauts, right? No, can't talk. Secret. I said, just give me one example of what cosmonauts have said when they come back from space. What happens to them in space? And she says, talking to dead relatives. Really? Yes. I said, so suppose I go out into space. Do I have to talk to my dead relatives? Especially my Aunt Gert. Because she's going to be looking for salami from the Carnegie Deli in New York, no matter where she is, in the cosmos, and she's going to try to get me to find it, right? Out of the gravity well, things happen to people. Leave the gravity field, things tend to happen to people. Not everybody, not all the time. This is a working hypothesis, but it's got some merit, significant merit. Government agencies are interested in this. What happens to people who leave the gravity well? Talked seriously to a guy who worked with one of these low-gravity training chambers. Do people ever have out-of-the-body experiences? Are you kidding? All the time. Really? Oh, yeah, absolutely. What does out-of-the-body experience mean? It means that the person is perceiving some section of reality from outside their body, and they know it. What psychiatrists would call psychotic behavior, for which they want to provide many medications. My boy, we have to stuff you back in because this is not good, what's happening to you. Well, doctor, I had a great time. I had no problem out there. It was tremendous, in fact. In fact, I could tell you a lot about what I realized about my life, existence, reality, all sorts of things. Indeed, my boy, all hallucinations, for which we will medicate you. Because I can tell you, paranoid schizophrenia, we have the labels for this. Gives you another slant on psychiatry. The primary role of psychiatry is to stuff people back in. Now, I've researched this for many years as a reporter. I can tell you, I'm not just, chatting about that. I can give you chapter on verse on why psychiatry is an absolute pseudoscience, has absolutely no basis in science whatsoever. There is absolutely no laboratory test of any kind for a definitive diagnosis of any of the 300 officially certified mental disorders. 0 tests. No blood test, no urine test, no hair test, no anus test, no toe test, no eye test, no genetic assay, no brain scan, no nothing. And if you read the DSM, which is the Bible of psychiatric profession, you discover that nowhere in there, I don't care what it is, autism, schizophrenia, anything from the oldest classical labels to the newest ones, oppositional defiance disorder, whatever, will you find a definitive laboratory test that allows the psychiatrist to make that diagnosis? Wow. I wish I could float a scam like that. I mean, we're talking big time bullshit. Not little stuff. This is big time. You're in the majors when you're doing that. You're in the major leagues when you're doing that. And to convince the government to back you up and make you a virtual monopoly in the field of mental health, to even back you up with courts, 72-hour lockdowns in psych wards, guns if necessary, to enforce that monopoly over the mind, that is some big-time conning. Big-time conning. On a PBS episode of Frontline called Does ADHD Exist?, they interviewed Dr. Russell Barkley, who was at the time professor of neurology, blah, 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 at the University of Massachusetts. And they said, well, a lot of people are asking, does this disorder really exist? Because they're saying there's no blood test. To which Barkley, you love it. Doesn't happen that often. When they just step right into it. With full arrogance. You people don't understand the science, our kind of science. Of course there's no blood test for ADHD. There's no kind of test at all. In fact, if that was required in our science, we would have no mental disorders at all, he said, because there is no laboratory test of any kind for any of the mental disorders, which would be absurd, because therefore it would prove that there are none of our labels mean anything, which that couldn't be, therefore it's science. Dr. Barkley, give the man a plaque, right? Give him an award, bring him on stage, sit him in a throne. The lockdown of the mind, because the drugs follow. Well, Out-of-the-body experience, really? Paranoid schizophrenia. Haldol. I think we've got a good drug for you. Well, if we don't like that one, we'll try Risperdal, and if necessary, Thorazine. But, that's out in the distance somewhere, because we want to stuff you back in.